Tennessee Governor Isham Harris lost the February vote on a convention to consider secession, but in May, the Tennessee legislature voted to have a plebiscite on separation from the Union. May, of course, is after Fort Sumter and the call for volunteers. And that was the big issue. There was enough states' rights sentiment that they didn't want the federal government to coerce militarily the state. The vote was to be on separation from the Union because they didn't want to debate the question of secession, whether it was legal or not. They didn't really care. They thought, we'll make the vote on separation because the right of revolution is inviolate. A convention was held in Knoxville to consider the question of separation, but before they could vote, Union advocates got control of the convention, postponed the vote, and moved the convention to Greeneville. Greeneville was in an even more Union area than Knoxville, although Knoxville was also a Unionist area. So our first scene opens with two leaders of the convention movement discussing the prospective Greeneville meeting.
Well, Mr. Temple, how you doing?
Good. Mr. Nelson, how are you?
I'm managing pretty good.
I'm very upset. I'm angry.
What's that for?
The situation that we find ourselves in today was unimaginable just 2 months ago. Back in February, when we defeated the very first secessionist order to come out, when we defeated that, I thought that we had ended the secession movement in Tennessee forever.
Well, I tell you, what happened is at Fort Sumter, and now Lincoln's call for 75,000 troops. The South has reason to be concerned, and we here in East Tennessee especially.
Well, the state legislature called for a new plebiscite, and the secessionists down in Knoxville were able to put together a convention to promote secession. But through some maneuvering, we were able to get that meeting postponed, and then eventually we were able to get it moved to Greeneville.
Well, now, Mr. Temple, you know that I have called for a convention of delegates to occur right here in Greeneville, Tennessee, June the 17th of this year, 1861.
Well, Thomas, I will do my best to convince the Knoxville delegates to continue our deliberations here in Greeneville. It's the only way we're going to overcome what Governor Harris and his disloyal minions put upon us with this secession.
Well, I certainly hope so, because I'm going to tell you one thing. I plan on leading the militant group.
Well, I'm going to try to lead the moderates, but moderation is in short supply all over Tennessee right now. And on the streets, there's nothing but anger and divisiveness. In fact, one of
the convention were intense, and the moderates led by Oliver Temple were able to influence the delegates to propose the separation of East Tennessee from Confederate Tennessee. Delegate John Netherland set the scene exactly in a convention speech. Quote, "Our deliberations and acts will become historic. We should act calmly. We're in a revolution and a fearful one. As a Union man, I say for myself that we have acted right in East Tennessee, but we must look at things practically. In February, we triumphed in the state by a 60,000 vote majority. That majority has melted away, and now the majority against us is 50,000. East Tennessee has stood firm. Now, before taking steps, let us feel the ground firm under us. Do not hurry through the convention."
Who is that approaching us over there?
Oh, that's Colonel Robert O. Beach of the Louisiana Tigers.
The Louisiana Tigers, that's the outfit that got here this morning, that's been roughing people up and just creating havoc around town?
That is correct. These are the individuals that are running around here disrupting our lives as good Union men that we are.
What will they be leaving? Do we have any idea?
I think they're here for just a short duration of time. This is stopped over a layover heading on their way to Virginia. I believe up to Richmond.
What percentage county is that?
brought us our flag.
Here's your flag, sir. My boys took it down for you.
Colonel Weiser, Oliver Temple, your prominent warrior here in Greeneville. Colonel Wayne of the Louisiana Tigers, Provisional Army of the Confederacy.
You know, I once owed an allegiance to that flag. Swore an oath, too. But that's all changed now. I couldn't fight against my boys from Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi. I suggest that you gentlemen give up your Union loyalties too, and quickly.
Sir, if this convention does what it should set out to do and convinces our state legislature, we'll be leaving your Confederate states, and we will rejoin the Union as the free state of East Tennessee.
I've been here with you East Tennessee Union men all day long, all this kind of talk. It's lunacy, I tell you. Something that is the Confederate States of America.
That plebiscite did not pass in East Tennessee. We voted against it 2-1. We voted against it 2-1 here. And if we have our way about it, we will change that soon.
Well, that may be so. But if your boys want to fight, my boys will move down here all the fight.
Colonel, those political fools of yours should not be running the roads here in Tennessee like they do down in Louisiana.
Mr. Nelson, sir, I'm trying very hard to keep you alive, but your sharp wit and those comments that you make are making it increasingly tough. Well, sir, I'm sorry all this is forward, sir, and I wish you well.
And I hope we can be on the other side.
I do as well, sir. Thank you for your hospitality, and may we meet again in Confederate Tennessee.
The Louisiana Tigers went on to Virginia and made a heroic record in the fighting of 1862. Colonel Wheat was killed in action at the Battle of Gaines' Mill. The Union Convention continued. It was composed of some of the most prominent political leaders in East Tennessee, men who would take important roles in the coming struggle. Many would join the fight in various ways, in particular, leaders of the Underground War, which would be so important in the coming fights, were prominent. Reverend William B. Carter was a member, a delegate, and he would organize and lead the bridge burnings of fall 1861. There was also, as a delegate, Robert A. Crawford, a Greeneville lawyer who would become federal chief of secret police in East Tennessee, and W.C. Kyle, who would take a role in the underground Unionist activities.
Good old Union men and women. Sometimes we have our going on rough. Gentlemen, thank you again for voting myself as president of this Greeneville Convention. I am deeply indebted to each and every one of you. Let us now begin the convention. Gentlemen, it's time for us to act against the treachery imposed upon us by Dr. Harris. Yes, indeed. His band of treacherous state legislators should not be ruling us. Today we find ourselves as loyal neighbors without the protection and comfort of the government of our fathers. And we must act quickly and decisively to realign ourselves and all of East Tennessee with a government we choose to serve. Here.
Speak on.
The resolutions that I proposed and sent to you, I will paraphrase right now for you. I want to make sure you totally understand the concept behind it. First, we will not agree with a new Confederate independence, and we will not attach ourselves to the Confederate States. Second, East Tennessee and the adjacent counties in Middle Tennessee will continue in the Union as the state of Tennessee, abiding by the United States laws and its Constitution. Third, we desire to maintain a position of neutrality between the secessionists of Tennessee and our position with the federal government without coercion. Basically, we do not desire to interfere with the secessionists if they do not interfere with us. Our volunteer companies, our railroad transportation, actual violence and insults against us shall not be tolerated. It would also be unlawful to collect taxes from us for the Confederate States. Fourth, if any attempt is made to bring troops among us from the secessionists of Tennessee or the Confederate States, we will call upon the United States of America for aid and military help. We shall defend ourselves within our own power as necessary. Fifth, resolve. Any member of this convention or any citizen of East Tennessee be harmed, arrested for treason because of his or her Union sentiments, we advise prompt act of judgment and retaliation as applicable. My sixth and final resolution: the formation of military companies with proper officers per county and civil districts in East Tennessee to be ready to arm themselves at a moment's warning.
Here, here, here. Mr. President. Mr. President, if I may.
General Arnold, yes, sir.
Personally, I am prepared to stand and defend our East Tennessee region and armed rebellion led by us, followed by our constituencies, against any man, anywhere, who would deprive us of the government of our fathers. Let us not forget, ladies and gentlemen, how it was our forefathers who joined together against a tyrannical monarchy in their day, crossing the highlands to win a great victory at King's Mountain, where their sacrifices helped to ensure the establishment of the original government that guaranteed states' rights, living in harmony. Just as they did then, let us do now, bind ourselves together and act to preserve our deep and personal ties to the national government, whatever the cost. As the Honorable John Nettleton has already stated in the very opening day of these proceedings, and I quote, "Our deliberations and acts will be historic." In
Mr. Robert Johnson, you may have the floor if you wish to say a word.
Thank you. It fills me with a sense of relief that my beliefs fall in line with those of my father, who all of you know has made his beliefs in what government he will follow very clear, and has already departed for Washington to resume his quest in the saving this union. The resolution that Mr. Nelson has put forth this day must be adopted. We must not align ourselves and attach ourselves with the Confederate States in any way. I am convinced more than ever that the counties of East Tennessee must remain loyal to the Union.
resolutions to be submitted to the legislature on our behalf and the behalf of East Tennesseans. And I would like to go over those briefly now. For the first resolution, I strongly recommend that we simply have a declaration of an earnest desire that East Tennessee citizens do not have to participate in the Civil War. It's that simple. I definitely agree with the second resolution that must point out the action taken by the Tennessee legislature and the governor passing a Declaration of Independence and establishing a legion with the Confederate States of America. And adopting other acts that separated us from our beloved Union and our government is unconstitutional and illegal. And therefore, it is not binding upon any of us. And I agree with this wholeheartedly. But in our third resolution, I would like for us to inform the legislature that we won't prefer any conflict and with our brethren in other parts of the states. We have been one state together for a good long time, and we want to separate on good terms, but certainly to pursue our political beliefs, just as they are. So therefore, I propose to the state legislature that we constitute and appoint commissioners and be presented to the General Assembly so that we may vote to separate from this state. And our fourth resolution would simply lay out how we're going to do that, how the election will be established, how the commissioners will vote, and so forth.
Mr. Horace Maynard, yes, sir. Would you like the floor, sir?
Thank you. Gentlemen, I urge you to heed the words of my good friend Nolan. For nothing is happening in the state that is treasonous, such as the actions that are taking place in our capital today. History will show that the meeting we are in now is one of the most notable meetings in the history of this country. For we have determined that the actions are unconstitutional, therefore they are illegal, and we are not bound to follow them. But there are a few realities that we must take into consideration. In the first place, the proposals made by Mr. Nelson are in direct conflict with the rules of the Confederacy. And no government can stand such rebellion. It will by necessity lead to armed resistance. It will lead to arms coming into our East Tennessee and will result in the greatest bloodbath that this country has ever known. In the second place, we've said that we will have the federal government step in and help us, but the nearest federal troops are over.